All right, let's talk about Kirk Cousins and the Atlanta Falcons getting a big win here, being able to beat the Dallas Cowboys, kind of, helping extend their lead in the NFC South with, the way that the Panthers and Saints look, and then Tampa Bay playing the Chiefs on Monday Night Football. Really important to get a win here, and I thought they just looked really good, especially Cousins. I thought had a very strong day. Some negatives, we'll get into it. Before I do, though, real quick, I do have a movie channel. If you like watching movies, I have some movie reviews and things of that nature. I talked about some horror movies that I just watched for the first time, some classic horror movies. So that's on that channel. If you're interested, the link is in the description below. Jackson Kruger Movies is the name of it. But yeah, let's talk some Kirk Cousins. Let's start off with this play. This was actually the play that Drake London got banged up on, unfortunately, but it kind of goes to show what Atlanta was definitely going in with the mindset of doing, which is they trust their receivers, like what they're going to do on this one. It's Trayvon Diggs, that's who Dallas feels is their best corner, going up against the best receiver for Atlanta. You see Cousins takes the snap, he looks in that direction, and again, when he has to make his decision, it's not really open or anything. It's not like he's looking at this and saying, oh yeah, this is wide open, I have to make this throw. It's more so, it's Drake London, right? Like, that's the logic here. Also, I love this placement from Cousins. Look at that. Really, I mean, how he goes up in the air, gets London to make a tough catch. That does two things. One is, London can make those types of catches, right? So it's putting it in a spot where he can get it. But it's also putting it away from Diggs. Diggs isn't going to be able to, make the play, because we all know Trayvon Diggs can make a great catch as well, but not when it's in that spot. Really good stuff there by Cousins. Also, heading over here, the way that Atlanta approaches fourth downs this season is really smart, where what they've done a couple times is on like a 3rd down and 12, they say, let's just try and gain 8 yards or so, and then we can try a 4th down and 4, especially when you're in this area of the field. Of course, if you're doing that, you have to then be able to convert 4th downs, otherwise it just gives the opponent better field position. But the way this one works is it's going to be man coverage, and again, for Cousins, it's going to be trying to find a matchup that he likes. He's going to eventually get over to, he doesn't look right away, kind of makes sure no safety or linebacker over the middle can get over, but, pretty quickly does get over to the read, which is Darnell Mooney. Cousins is going to make this throw. The Dallas corner had his back turned, so he couldn't play the ball. Mooney could. And again, really good catch here from Darnell Mooney. These aren't wide open plays whatsoever. But again, for Cousins, he knows he has good receivers, and he's taking advantage of that, right? Some people could sit here and say, well, Cousins is kind of just throwing up these jump balls, and his receivers are making plays. But, he's utilizing the tools in his tool belt appropriately on these plays, right? It's smart football by him. This one, another one, where this one was, again, a pretty good concept, where Dallas is going to go with an all-out blitz, and they really tried to fool Atlanta, but they did it so clumsily, it was obvious that it was an all-out blitz. They're trying to make it seem like it might have just been a 5-man rush. No. It's going to be an all-out blitz, and Atlanta is ready for this. They're going to essentially just run a pick play right here, and watch what happens. When his play begins, I'll be honest, Diggs is going to complain about this. I think he might have had a gripe. I don't know if Atlanta's receivers did a great job at selling as though they could be running a route on this one, but you know what? Sometimes football is what can you get away with, and, these pick plays, they don't always call them, and it's just smart on a 4th down to run a pick play, because if they do call it and you get the completion, then it doesn't give the other team the ball. It just pushes you back 10 yards, which still isn't ideal, but it's different than, it's worth the risk then, as opposed to say a, 1st down and 10. Also, Cousins, of course, puts this right on the money. Mooney, not in a rush to get into the end zone, is going to celebrate a little bit. Why not? You got the big touchdown. So, good stuff here by the Atlanta Falcons, I would say. I do think you do sometimes see some issues with the Falcons. The way I kind of see them is they're such a good team at hitting their first reads. Their first reads are so often open, and Cousins is so good at figuring out which read he should go to on his first read. But when the first read isn't open, then the Falcons definitely struggle in the passing game. This play is going to be a man coverage concept, and watch what happens when this play begins. Cousins takes a snap, and we talk about how he's so good at figuring out which read he should look towards right away, but right here, doesn't matter really what read he's looking towards, nothing is really open. And keep in mind, this is a 3rd down and 8 situation, so, there's a couple of checkdowns. Still, probably that's what you should do is, I would say flip it to Bijan Robinson. He can make a guy miss. Hopefully he makes the guy who's covering him miss. Instead, though, Cousins is going to try and see if he can get a little bit more time. It doesn't happen. Time runs out and eventually gets sacked. Again, it is what it is. Cousins does a lot of things well. Extending plays isn't one of them, so that is something you have to deal with. Obviously, the good outweighs the bad, but there is some bad. Also this as well, which isn't really his fault, but man, it does feel like he fumbles a lot. And honestly, even Bijan Robinson on that play probably should have been flagged for batting the ball forward. That's like obviously batting the ball forward. I don't know how that wasn't called, but it almost worked for Bijan. Unfortunately for him, Dallas he hit it too far. Dallas was still able to recover. So yeah, a couple things you got to clean up for sure for the Falcons on these plays. But also, it is fair to mention that there have been moments of Cousins being able to make things happen when the first read doesn't work. Like, for example, this play, it's going to be a man coverage concept. Cousins is going to take the snap on this one. He runs a play action, and looking down the field, doesn't love what he sees, and there is pressure about to come right here. So kind of if you listen to what I just said, oh, well, clearly this play is about to go wrong, right? Well, no. Watch how Cousins this time does navigate the pressure well. Neither one of those, actually both those Cowboys players kind of fell on top of each other, which helps. But still, he's able to find a way to get to another read. And you see Bijan Robinson down the field. He looks up. I mean, his route was just run up towards the top of the screen. But he now looks and says, hey, over the middle of the field is open. Cousins and Robinson, link up pretty well. They're able to pick up a huge gain. Robinson's so good in open space. Watch what he's able to do. And they're able to make a big play. So, yeah, there definitely are moments where that kind of thing happens as well with Cousins, of course. And just something like this, which is, I think, also important to say. This is a pretty big play, right? I mean, you're up 11 points, so you're feeling okay about yourself. But at your own 6-yard line, if you don't gain any yards here, you're going to have to punt out of the back of your own end zone. Probably won't be a great punt. You're giving Dallas good field position. They have Darnell Mooney in a one-on-one matchup. And, part of what has to be mentioned, too, is, they just hit these one-on-ones pretty well. Watch when this play begins. I mean, I'm saying pretty well, but it's really, really well. And this one doesn't even at first seem like it's going to go great because Darnell Mooney kind of has to go behind the line to gain to make this catch. But watch how he does that and then makes a man miss, and look at the yards he's able to pick up. For a second, you thought he might be gone. Good tackle there to not let that happen, but still a really strong play there by Darnell Mooney and by Cousins. Really good stuff here. So yeah, I mean, listen, this Falcons offense is legit, and even with Drake London, who, again, the play I showed, he didn't come back in the game after that play. He was ruled out after it. So the fact that they're able to do this without Drake London, I think is really promising and really does go to show that this is a talented football team. I know it's Dallas. I get it. Dallas has struggled in coverage all season, but still, I mean, they were dominating. They weren't just winning their matchups. So when you're making stuff like that happen, to me, it still is optimistic and still is something that you look at as a big positive for Atlanta. But yeah, that's what I think. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. What were your thoughts on the Atlanta Falcons and on, this offense and Kirk Cousins in general? Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.